I'm chairing in his absence. I am Craig Brown, commission member. We'll just go around and introduce ourselves real quick, get anybody that's online, and then we'll carry on with our meeting.
Tom Rome, Alderman member.
Tom Eklund, commission member.
Jake Klingford, staff.
Shane Blazer, mayor.
Dawn DeSorcy, staff.
Patrick Otterman, just member.
Lee Tao, commission member.
All right. So with that, our first order of business is to approve the June 28th meeting minutes.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Tao, second Getterman to approve the June 28th meeting minutes. Any conversation or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, consider location for Rockin' in Rapids. Give a rock, take a rock location.
Yeah, just come on.
Thanks. We were looking to add some rock stations, kind of like the free little libraries that are around town. I think there's even one outside here in front of your building. I actually found a couple online that are durable, plastic. They're not really expensive. We can put them in, I think they had 3 locations, one at the clock tower, one at Lions Park, and one at Robinson Park. And I know my mom came here, and she actually was interested in putting one on her empty lot, which is behind the post office and in between the library, which is another really good location as well. It's huge for the community, and the reason of having these stations is during the winter, people can't do the Rockin' Rapids because there's snow that's too dangerous because the snow plow is putting them out in landscaping or stuff like that. These would be a nice little location where they could go and be out of the elements and be safe for people to take a rock and leave a rock. And the Rockin' Rapids has been really, really huge over the last couple of years. I knew a lot of people continue to do it. I actually started my own business doing rock painting, and if you guys wanted to check out some of my rocks. There's a lot of them in there. And feel free to take one if you want one. Not hers, because she won't give up hers. She brought hers to show. And she has a packer rock and then a nice Wisconsin. The rock is kind of shaped like the state of Wisconsin. And this is kind of some of the stuff that people do on Rockin' Rapids.
So what kind of structure are we talking about that they'd be placed in?
I have a picture on my phone of what they look like. They are durable plastic. They're for outdoor use. The base you fill with sand, but that bottom part of the base I could actually dig into the ground so it's more stable for like the winter and stuff. But they're really not much different than the free little libraries that are already
Oh, okay.
all over the place. This is kind of a picture of what they look like. That's what I'm looking to purchase. So it's a nice durable plastic. They're environmentally safe.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And they look very nice.
This is your artwork on these?
Yes.
Holy cow.
My handiwork.
I was thinking just about a painted rock with like an inspirational word on it, not like legitimate art.
So are you looking for Park and Rec to purchase these and install them, or, I guess, what your ask is, I guess?
When I emailed Dawn, I wasn't sure what your guys' take would be on that, but I will, and actually she was going to help purchase. So, and if something were to happen to one, I would replace it. All I really needed from you was your approval and where you would like them, and so you knew I was doing such thing to the park, or, you know. One of the other reasons why I really wanted to do this is one of the biggest spots for Rockin' Rapids where the public was leaving their rocks was the Firemen's Memorial Park. And the vice president of the Firemen's Memorial emailed me and said, could you please not, people are putting them on the statues, it's disrespectful. And that really brought the community down because that was their go-to spot to hide these rocks. And we don't want to be disrespectful to the Firemen's Memorial by any way, shape, or form. And so I even put it in the rules, Rockin' Rapids, please don't hide at Firemen's Memorial. And now they don't really know where to hide them anymore because that was their go-to spot to hide them. And this gives people a designated spot all year round, even in the winter, to safely put their rocks without any damage to them or them getting lost or hit by a lawnmower or, you know, anything like that. Granted, they'll still probably hide them in the summer all around the place, but this gives a definite spot where they'll be safe during the winter, where people could still continue to do the Rockin' Rapids all year round. So.
Great. Do you see any issue, Jake?
No, we'll just have to be careful on where we place them in the parking lots, because obviously those will be getting plowed in the winter time.
Right.
I think Lions Park might be a little difficult, but I think if we put them in the correct location, it should be fine.
Yeah, and then
But yeah, I don't
as
see any-
long as you guys let me know where exactly you want me to
Yep.
put them, I can put them there, so.
yeah. Is this something you think might have to be concreted into the ground, or is it just a
I probably
freestanding
could, I probably could,
sandbags, or? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I have no issues with it.
Awesome.
So just to recap, in how many locations are you talking about?
3, and then she was gonna have her on her own private property, so that,
Okay. But 3 on city property?
right.
And,
Clock Tower, the Lions Park, and then Robinson Park.
and there would be no cost to the city associated with doing this?
No,
And you'd work with Jake or other city staff to put them in a location where?
Yep. Wherever he feels and it fit.
Gotcha. Mayor Blazer?
I'd make a motion to approve the placement of these structures in the park with conjunction with Jake.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Motion a second to approve. Pardon me, I'm choking myself. Give a rock, take a rock locations throughout the city in coordination with city staff to identify locations. Any further discussion? Yes?
I'm missing something on this whole thing here somewhere. So what is this all going to look like, say in Robinson Park? What would this look like?
It would kind of look like the little libraries that are, there's one at the zoo, there's one,
Okay, all
but
right.
they're
Okay.
nice in the ground.
Okay. About that big, about that size?
Yeah, I think their measurements they're about this tall, but once you bury that base, they'll probably be even shorter, so they'll probably be like children's height.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next item is consider installation and additional disc golf pads at Robinson Park.
Hello, my name's Nathan Hansen, and I'm pretty much representing the disc golf community here in Wisconsin Rapids. So, yeah, we're looking to get some more tee pads added to Robinson Park Disc Golf Course. Right now, it's only a 9-hole course with 9 baskets, but installing an additional 9 pads, 1 per hole, will make it 18-hole playable layout.
So then would you throw back at the same baskets that are out there kind of a thing?
Correct, yeah. It would just change the lines and the holes, depending on where we place the tee pads.
A different tee-off pad, meaning then you might go to whatever. You're on hole 10, you might be throwing at basket 3.
Exactly. So hole 1 would share tee pads with hole 10. So
Gotcha.
1 could go straight, and then, you know, you put the tee pad off to the side. Now you got to arc it to the right. Oops, sorry. And it just adds a little more to the park, you know, and gives disc golfers a little more opportunity to play different shots.
Any exploration done on whether that layout's workable or functional, or you know, is there like schematics, or, I mean, we don't have to get super technical. I can't imagine putting in concrete pads is a big deal, but I just meant in terms of a layout that it would be a functional approach that we can accommodate what he's mentioning.
Right. We met on site and we walked it, and it's not going to be an issue at all. There's plenty of room to add 9 more pads.
Do you have an estimate on the cost?
No, that's something we were going to talk about. You guys might be able to fund for it.
Right. Well, so we are maybe looking to hope to get the city to fund for the pads, but we could install them. We just recently added more tee pads out at Wazecha for their 12-hole, but that was through the county, and our club paid for those, and I believe it was around $800 or $900. But then we did all the work on installing them. They just had the cement truck come, or it came, and we had wheelbarrows and poured them and finished them and everything, and they turned out really nice.
So you guys formed them up and finished them the whole 9 yards?
Yep, we got a whole crew that can handle all of that
And when you said 800 or 900, you mean total or per?
total.
Oh. And how many extra did you do at Wazecha?
We did, I believe it was 9 out of the 11 out there. There was talks of taking the water hole out for a couple years now, I suppose, but I don't think that's happening. But we didn't pour that in case they were talking about pulling it out. It would have been waste.
So you did 9 of 11, and that cost around $900.
Yes.
Oh. Not too costly then.
I know, Nate, too, you said you think this would be also kind of like a revenue money for the city. People come and kind of across the state to play in like tournaments there if we.
Right. So with that, ideally you would want a full 18-hole course layout to start doing tournaments and everything, but it would definitely generate more revenue for the city, bringing people in if you hold tournaments, or even just having a really nice course somewhere would just bring people in from all over, because disc golf is a growing sport all over the world, and it does. I mean, it brings people in for lodging, you know, they go out to eat, and it just brings revenue to the cities, the counties. It also works as a crime deterrent by getting more people in the parks. It pushes the bad out, because obviously, you know, people don't want to be caught doing stuff. And, you know, so you get more people in the parks and just turn it into something better.
Yeah, I for one actually play at Wazecha, and what's so incredible is the people that are there. You see some locals, but a lot of people from out of state or interstate. You know, they travel with their discs to play at intended parks, and this would definitely raise a lot of, like, because they play at Wazecha a lot, they'll play at Robinson, but then you want to do something else. Having additional pads would be. I love, and I like that partnership too. If you know, staff-wise, you guys can handle doing a lot of it.
Right.
It seems like a good partnership ultimately, or sharing of the profit, or sharing of, I guess, the cost.
Yep, exactly. We're willing to help any way we can. And like I said, we have a lot of knowledgeable guys in our group that have done this for many years. And so whatever we need to do, we can totally get it going or help out whatever you guys need. I mean, ideal, like long goal would be to get more courses playable in the area. I know I was talking with Jake, there's not a lot of land though that's available to the city, so it's kind of tough We were talking about Ben Hansen, but I know he said he possibly had some ideas for a pavilion or something out there. But I did walk Ben Hansen, and there would definitely be enough room for another 9-hole course out there as well. And, I mean, depending on how that works with the firefighter memorial out there, it would be around it. So I guess we'd have to figure that out too. But, I mean, eventually, we'd like to try to grow the sport and just get more people involved. And it's great for school activities and just getting people out and, you know, exercising. It's low impact. All age groups can do it. So we're just trying to help the development here.
And if you're just, excuse me, just adding additional pads and throwing back at the same baskets, you're not really doubling the footprint of what's already there, because I'm guessing people kind of traverse and walk around that whole area anyway, correct?
Correct. So Robinson Park is really, really wide open and maintained and mowed grass and everything all over the whole place. So this would be super, you know, low maintenance impact. Pretty much get the pads in one day, let them dry for a few days, and it's done, and you're good to go.
Any other questions? Mayor Blazer?
I just have a comment. You know, I've spent a lot of time at Robinson Park with baseball and softball, and it is amazing the amount of use that that park gets for Frisbee golf. And if we can expand that for this group to potentially to an 18-hole course that they can hold tournaments, I only see it as a benefit. And I'm not sure where in the budget, Jake, you would have money for the concrete, but I would hope you would, and I fully support this idea. It's an opportunity. I am a big fan of our parks, and the more uses and the more users we can get in them, I think the better.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the request of the installation of additional disc golf pads at Robinson Park. Motion by Tom, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Lee. So we have a motion and a second to approve additional disc golf pads at Robinson Park. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we have approval of Aquatic Center Dog Day on August 30th, and I'm guessing that's Mary? It's everybody.
Yeah, Don kind of took the lead on this one.
So we're looking, actually, the date's probably going to change because we did find out that we need to have lifeguards. We'd be looking at August 23rd. The time would be 4:30 until 6. We do have the Humane Society that is going to be there with some staff to help with anything that might get out of hand with the dogs. We're capping it at 50 dogs. It would be $5 per dog plus a donation to the Humane Society. And we're just thinking it would be a fun event to hold there on the very last day before the water gets drained.
As a dog guy myself, I think this is an outstanding idea. I also think it's hilarious that you need lifeguards for dogs.
Well, the intent is for the people. It does say they.
Oh, just
can
in
rescue
case
the
somebody would tip
people.
over. Okay, all right. Now it makes sense. I was thinking we needed dog lifeguards, which in and of itself is hilarious. But you never know. I mean, because, you know, there's all kinds of requirements. You never know.
Right.
So, all right. There are people lifeguards that happen to be there the same day the dogs are screwing around. All right. Any other questions for Dawn? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Aquatic Center Dog Day with a huge smile on my face, because it's going to be really, are we going to get video? Somebody should shoot video and put it on the city website.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can
okay,
get public access to
Yeah.
do that.
because it's going to be hilarious.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mayor Blazer, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Patrick. All those in, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're going to have an Aquatic Center Dog Day. Next is the update on the Teskey grant money remaining in plan for use.
Yeah. So just looking at MSA's plans back in 2018, I believe. These are obviously plans that we would still love to do, but obviously with it being 3 years ago. The price, I'm sure, has changed on some of these projects. Myself, Don, and Ron Bodette, the zookeeper, were talking about the area where the Z-Donk and the horses are. It's a very large area. We talked to Fantasy Corral, the animal providers for us, on separating that area and adding kangaroos in there. So the three things that we would have to do would have to put in a double fence separating the horses and Z-Donks from the kangaroos, putting up a shelter for the kangaroos, and then a sand bed for the kangaroos because they like to lay in sand. I know that was one idea. Again, looking through what MSA has, redoing the paths, and there is going to be a much needed thing that we have to look at down the road. But again, I don't know if the plan is to spend $300,000 immediately, or are we looking at spending this kind of sporadic from time to time? So we can get prices on the fencing from American Fencing and kind of go from there if that's something you guys would be interested in doing. We're also still waiting from Fantasy Corral, just the price on renting, what that would be for kangaroos. We're looking at 2 of them.
So did we, clearly you have to separate your Z-Donks from your horses. I mean, so let's just put that out there. That is also hilarious, just for the record. But I would say, I think we need to know, my first question is, what's the estimated cost of doing so?
Yep.
And then secondarily, what I was thinking of in my mind is that, wasn't there some feedback solicitation around, hey, what would you like to see at the zoo, or ideas for new exhibits? Wasn't that conducted a while ago? I recall something along those lines. I think the Mayor's Youth Council was involved, if I'm,
Yeah, they
We do have that survey. We should pull that, and
talked about river otters.
Oh, okay,
that's right, yeah.
something about otters, I remember that.
okay.
But I do wonder about, like, because kangaroos would be cool, but my question would be, is that because, we've heard from the community that we want to see kangaroos at the zoo, or is it something that you do on a rotation, like, okay, this year we're going to do kangaroos, but next year we're going to do this, that, or the other thing? So that's just some commentary there. And then with regard to the Teskey money remaining, the commission, of course, can have conversation on that topic, but I would think that we wouldn't want to just spend it all and be like, okay, that's taken care of, that we'd want to identify and earmark projects that we want to accomplish and do that, because, of course, over time, because things change, as is evidenced by this conversation. So I think the money is for that, clearly, to do upgrades and updates to the zoo. But something that we're looking at, if we would undertake this, for example, and let's just say it costs $50,000, we still have some dollars left over for when we want to do something a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now. So you're just looking, Jake, for direction, like, should we investigate
Yeah,
this?
I mean, yeah, obviously we got ideas, but how do we want to go forward with these ideas? Like I said before, I don't know if we would just want to spend it all at once, or I don't think that's the best idea, but I know there was also some pictures in here from MSA expanding the zoo all the way kind of closer to Gaynor Avenue, and kind of having walking trails, and then one picture showed like the new playground being kind of closer to Gaynor Road. Obviously, a fence will be surrounding the playground, but so yeah, I guess more guidance, I guess, is what we're looking for on what to do.
What's existing, though, is you would have to, is there like a need to separate the Z-Donks and the horses? Is that,
No, they're in the same.
they're in the same pen, which is okay for the
Yeah.
time being?
Correct.
But if we did some of these modifications to accommodate kangaroos as an example, then you're saying it'd be a time that you would split that?
The Z-Donks and the kangaroos. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
okay.
Yep. So the donkeys, the horses, and the Z-Donks would be in their own
Okay.
altogether.
So it's not about separating what's there, it's about separating the kangaroos or
Right.
whatever exhibit
Right.
comes in?
Yeah.
Okay,
But there's a big enough area that we can make another exhibit where the Z-Donks are.
I got you.
I don't know why I keep on saying Z-Donks, but
Because it's awesome. I'm going to try to say Z-Donks at my school board meeting tonight. I don't know if I can work it in, but I'll give it a shot.
They might say, God bless you.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, we can entertain any kind of conversation from the commission here, but, and again, just because I'm running the meeting doesn't give my opinion any weight more than anybody else's, but I would say, let's look at what it would cost to separate those areas, and then let's look at what might be agreeable from the community or the public to put there. And maybe we can go back and peruse some records from what zoo recommendations or, future exhibits might have been a thing. A river otter and kangaroos are very different, so I can't imagine just putting in a fence would accommodate river otters. But whatever the use would be, then we would have a more well-thought-out plan. As I think identifying, again, like I said, if we did sector it off and then you do kangaroos, well, clearly you could do other, range kind of animals at some point in the future too, so that might provide some flexibility. And from the sounds of it, all you're talking about is one section of fence
Correct.
for that modification.
Yeah, so. Really wouldn't be that much.
Were there other things on that list from,
I mean,
I mean,
from MSA,
yeah,
they just have pictures of kind of restructuring the whole zoo. They got designs in here, removing the sign shop and adding that parking lot. So they have a lot of different ideas. I wasn't here, obviously, when they introduced this to us, but, putting in a graph path around the existing stormwater pond they have in there. Stuff, just different exhibits, moving the playground from by the pavilion, like I said, kind of closer by Gainer, and then fencing all that area in. Prairie dogs, they have in here for an exhibit. So a lot of it's adding exhibits, kind of just more animals to what we have right now. I can share this with you guys too if you wanted to take a look at it. So, I don't know if that answered your question, Tom.
yeah, I was just thinking there were more ideas on the list, and somehow we or some other group needs to prioritize those, and we go from there.
Yeah, I would agree. What, where did the idea come from to do this?
Actually, Ron, the zookeeper,
Oh,
brought it up.
you did mention that.
Yep.
My apologies.
Yeah. So, another thing that Dawn and I were talking about is making the Helen House accessible during the winter, because we do get a lot of questions on people renting that out in the wintertime. But there's no insulation. It wasn't built to be open in the winter. So I know it probably won't be very cheap to do all that, but, it's something we can look at as well.
So I wonder if it makes sense, if the commission agrees, what we do is look at all of what the possibilities are, and then, I don't know that we have to affix hard pricing to it, but just some, at least ballpark estimates as an example. I'm sure you could probably figure out linear feet of fencing, what, roughly that would be.
Yeah.
And then allow the commission to make some decisions and do some additional research about what other feedback was out there prior. Maybe we want to do new feedback too. I don't know, who knows, but, and then be able to kind of rank order, prioritize, and make some decisions over how we want to spend those dollars and what's remaining and what, what the projects cost, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
And AIRS gave us ideas when they gave us the CRP, I don't know where that Tom has it, but they gave us ideas on improvements on the zoo, but a lot of it was the walking paths, kind of just more maintenance stuff, not really adding any more exhibits. I don't think they're in the zoo business, but if I can find it here.
Was the grant money specific to how it would be used?
That I do not know.
Maintenance
that.
or structure or
Yeah.
new?
I'm not sure how they wanted us to use the money to begin with. I don't know, Tom, do you know?
So can we find out if there's any earmarked expectation of the grant dollars? Okay. Any other questions or comments? So we'll see something at a future meeting that talks about possibilities based on feedback from, I would argue, both the zookeeper and/or the community, or both, in addition to what we can and can't use the Teskey grant dollars for.
Sounds good.
All right. Moving on to item 7 then, update on Parks and Rec Commission Ad Hoc Committee.
Yeah, we've, last time we met, we're still going through the Park and Rec ordinance, because what the ordinance says and how we operate are two different things. So we're kind of going through that line by line. And we're probably due for another meeting and another update with the group. Anything that I missed, Tom? Just kind of, just the process of going through the old ordinance and kind of trying to apply how we currently do things. And then Sue's updating, or going to kind of rework an ordinance and then start bringing it back. And then the commission can kind of, make modifications and address concerns from there.
Do you have any idea when we'd see like a draft?
I guess we haven't thought of, we haven't had an end date yet, but we need to get it done sooner than later, I would think.
Okay. Anything else on the update on the ad hoc committee?
I don't think so. You don't have anything, JD? Yeah, you don't have anything? Yeah, okay.
Okay. We're on item 8 then, update on the Aquatic Center. Closing for the season on August 22nd.
There's really nothing really to update on. This past weekend was a little tricky with the weather and stuff like that. I know we had some birthday parties that we had to cancel and refund the money. But again, that's just something that we have to adapt to with Mother Nature. Can't really think of nothing else with the Aquatic Center. Oh, the skate park cameras are, I don't know if I mentioned this last meeting, are up and running. So we do have access on that. Tomorrow is the scheduled date for them to add a camera, so we get a more visual perspective on the splash pad and the playground. So that's getting installed tomorrow from Permar. I think Dawn sent, did everyone get a copy of the revenue from this so far from what we brought in as of last week? I know we brought this up in the finance meeting, and the thing that kind of blew us all away is that if you look at the day passes, over 15,000 people had walked through those doors. So that's kind of, that stuck out the most, I guess, from all of us. So if you can imagine that we were, I don't know if we were surprised, but it was kind of, caught me off guard to actually imagine, pretty much the size of Rapids if, everyone was in that pool. So it was kind of cool.
I think the other item that stood out was the amount of items sold at concessions was like 21,000 some items, and that was as of last Monday.
Yeah.
Small items.
So are we going to get, this is great as far as revenue is concerned. I mean, clearly it's almost the end of the season, and when the season's over, we'll get an updated revenue. Because I'm curious too about what concession revenue is. And then I think we mentioned last time, it'd be nice to know in general what we're spending just to have it sit there and operate over the summertime. You know what I'm saying? And have those numbers to compare.
After
And-
the season, we'll have all
Yeah.
all of the expenses and everything, and all the staff costing.
So like at our September or October meeting, something like
Probably closer to October.
Okay.
In October.
Well, we
I
should
think
see
that's-
all the costs compared to our budget.
Mm-hmm.
We
I
haven't-
believe finance had requested that as well,
We
so.
haven't seen them for a while now. And that would have,
that. Yeah, that's a good point.
I would just like to mention regarding the aquatics, we have 13 days left, but I'm not counting. The week of August 16th to the 22nd is going to be a real skeletal crew and very challenging to staff, especially with lifeguards. So there might be days, especially August 19th comes to mind because there's student council, there's link crew training for a lot of the students, and all the sports start, and I have people returning to college. So there may be periods of time when maybe the climbing wall is not open or the diving board. We'll try to keep out everything open as much as we can, but I also have to follow state codes and have certain personnel at certain places when we are open. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I think that's pretty status quo this time of year.
Mhm.
Oh, I know, I have a question, follow-up question. Was it difficult, so remember our whole long, lengthy diatribe around resident versus non-resident and veteran versus not and all of that, and tracking and record keeping and making life easy for the people working that? Was that a problem?
First couple of days, it was
First couple days
was busy. I mean, you had people coming in there wanting to purchase a season pass, and that isn't just, show an ID, give them the amount of money that we need. It's filling out a lengthy piece of paperwork. And so that kind of set the lines back a little bit longer than we anticipated. But I think as the season went on, we got a lot better at, and the staff got a lot better. You got 15 and 16-year-old boys and girls, their first job, and you're kind of opening up the doors, the floodwaters, and it was, at first it was trying, but I think they adapted very well to it, and we kind of changed some things on the lines and which doors people could use. Like if you had a season pass, you can use, for example, far right door only, and then day passes were the rest. So I think as the season went on along, it got a lot better.
Having one cost, though, is definitely something we need to look at again for next year, the resident, non-resident cost being the same. I can't imagine them having to check IDs of everyone that's coming through the doors. So we'll have to talk about pricing for next season, but that's something that was discussed, we've discussed in the office a few times. It would be challenging to have to differentiate between residents and non-residents, especially in those first couple weeks.
For all passes or just day passes?
Just the day pass,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So the residents will still get the punch pass,
right?
reduced price.
We had also kind of discussed about, especially like right at the beginning of the season, when you're filling out and trying to set up accounts for new people for season passes, to have maybe it done in the office or online only and not at the gate when they first walk in that first couple of weeks, which would make the lines go by a lot faster.
The other option we talked about was setting up a station over there just for season passes, maybe in that Rapids room or away from the admissions area. So there's things to talk about for next season to make it go a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah. Yeah, you could also say for the opening week, we're not selling any season passes here on site. You got to go somewhere else to get them.
Right. Yep.
Anyway. Any other questions on the Aquatic Center? All right, moving on to item 9 then, update on comprehensive outdoor rec plan.
Yeah, like I said, AIRS sent us in the mail, I believe it was Thursday or Friday of last week, just kind of a rough draft copy of what they're going to be proposing to us. It's pretty cut and dry. I did reach out to them, just asking them what the next step is. Are they waiting for us to give them the green light to, make it a final copy? They have not gotten back to me on that. And then also I requested that if they could give me this into a PDF file so that I can share with the board here. So just kind of looking at through this, Shane and I were talking on the survey. One of the big things that did stand out was the need for, a lot of people mentioned dog parks on there. So again, probably the next meeting we'll bring that up again and talking about a location.
And we're going to get a copy of that
I'm
report.
hoping, yep. So,
Mayor Blazer?
Yeah, I asked, we talked about making sure there's a PDF version for y'all to be able to read. I've read through the whole thing too. And like Jake brought up the dog park, I think probably maybe a more appropriate path would be to come up and maybe like 3 sites as an option and come to Park and Rec and then kind of have the commission kind of talk about maybe a preferred site and pros and cons to those 3 sites. And then ultimately the Park and Rec commission decide where that site would be best served. Then we can go forward from there. Thank you.
So yeah, that's really all I had about that. Just waiting for them to get back to me on what, what the next step is, so.
All right, any other questions on the outdoor rec plan? Moving on then, to item 10, the bills. Who reviewed the bills this evening? Anybody interested? I mean, we all got the list, of course.
I guess while somebody's looking at the bills, we had gotten the information on the Teskey Memorial Fund and its uses.
I can take it.
It states that the sole purpose will be for the construction of facilities for the city zoo, and that no portion of Memorial Fund principal or interest will be used for maintenance or operating expenses. And that's pretty much it. And also there's a request that a plaque be erected. But otherwise, there's no other stipulations, just for your information.
So is maintenance like the path?
Probably path would be maintenance, yeah. Correct, are not allowed. Not allowed to be used. Nope. So it's for new construction. So like the new pens, that'd be a new feature.
It also says they must be used by 2026. Is a while.
Is there questions on the bills as I'm going through these? Big one, well, it looks like for the, oh no, that's Mid-State Painting. Anyway, the Mid-State Painting 5,020 that was pressure washing and taking care of the duck pond. If anybody's curious about that. A lot of concessions and aquatic center supplies. Of course, on the month that there's a lot. Any questions? Well, I guess I will entertain a motion to approve the bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion a second to approve the bills. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Staff reports.
Busy with summer recreation. We are winding down with all of our classes. We've held 3 babysitting sessions. We have 1 left in August. Our T-ball and pitch ball winded down with 97 participants. We did limit the number of teams this year due to COVID. As registration we had taken early in March. Our Art in the Park and sports, volleyball, basketball, pickleball, those are all winding down. We did have a couple of zoo video chats, informational, by our zoo intern that graduated from UW-Stevens Point. If you haven't seen those are pretty interesting. One was on the red fox and the other one was on the Shetland sheep. I am busy working on my fall activity guide. Hope to have it ready to go the end of August. We'll begin our registration for all of our fall classes September 22nd. Our leagues will kick in depending upon what type of leagues we run. I believe the school board is having a meeting tonight, and we'll be discussing whether there'll be masking or non-masking, which will affect some of our programs that are held in the school. So I'm kind of holding off on the applications till I get all the information, because I know there's some participants that if there are restrictions, that will not participate. So we'll get the correct information out the first time right away. Also, beginning seasonal fall and winter hiring for employees. We'll be hiring for ice pond attendants, pickleball, volleyball officials, and door attendants, basketball scorers and timers, and gymnastics and tennis instructors. We are going to be adding gymnastics, hopefully, to either the Lowell Center or Robinson Park. I've been working with Jake on that, so was a very popular program back before we had to move it out of the Lowell Center because the space was rented. So we're hoping to return some of those programs. The aquatics, as we mentioned earlier, the 23rd is the last day that we are open. We will have our customer appreciation swim that night for all day passes, or not day pass, season pass holders from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we did have Aqua Zumba. The class was filled up, and we've had several requests to run more classes next year, morning class and a couple more evening classes, and that'll be restricted upon our hours that we set for the pool next year and the availability of the instructor. Our swim lessons are winding down. Those will be done next week, as well as our lap swimmers, water joggers. That ends on the 19th. And I'm just hoping to get through the next 13 days with full staff.
For the field staff report, we finished rezoning all the sprinklers at the clock bell tower in the month of July. Just continuing cutting parks and right-of-ways throughout the city. Still doing a lot of maintenance on all of our landscape areas, pulling weeds. Continue the tree maintenance throughout the city, helping just remove low branches for the chip sealing routes that's coming up here hopefully this week, weather permitting. Starting to remove a lot of dead ash and stumps. We did do our ash borer injections, I think it was late June. Spraying weeds throughout the parks and city sidewalks and streets. We did have a employee retire this last month. Mike Garski was with us for 20 years. He worked on the street department, but mostly on the park department. He was pretty much my main lawnmower guy. So we're still waiting to fill that position. And then just maintenance at the zoo and aquatic center every day.
Any questions for Jake or Mary? All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.